Some feisty storms could disrupt your weekend plans as heavy rain and wind blast millions of people. Plus, it might be time to break out the sweaters, the jackets in parts of America as we have some of our first freeze warnings, the first ones, and frost advisories of the season. It's going to be a new game for some of you, no doubt. All right, good morning and welcome to America's Weekend Headquarters. I'm meteorologist Reynolds.
And I'm meteorologist McCollum. Active weather on land and out to sea. The tropics still bubbling with activity both on the Pacific and Atlantic sides. Coming up, why Hawaii should be watching the forecast and the latest on a tropical wave in the Atlantic.
That's right. Plus, on top of that, we've got news.
So perhaps seeing some flight delays today, but how about some rain delays for some of our baseball games, starting in the Bronx, where we've got first pitch Yankees and the Blue Jays. This is around 1 p.m. Now, that's also the time that we're going to start to see some of these strong to severe storms initiate to the west, then rolling towards areas like New York City for the second half of the afternoon. This is 3 p.m., still fairly quiet, but filling in as far as the radar goes. This is around 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. More heavy rain just past the dinner time frame, depending on if you eat dinner early. And then we get to the overnight hours. We still have the rain that's going to be rolling through. So despite the fact that we actually are facing more of a drought situation in parts of the Northeast right now, you could see some flash flooding if we see too much at one time. Similar timing for you here in Philly, where we're going to see some of the heaviest rain 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening hours, perhaps some gusty straight line damaging winds, an isolated tornado or two. Certainly a possibility today from the Northeast all the way up into New England. How about Camden Yards, Baltimore? We've got the Orioles and the Dodgers, and this game looks a little bit difficult as far as the timing goes. We might be in a pretty significant rain delay here in Camden Yards. How about Charlotte, where we're also going to see the cold front? I don't think the rain is going to be quite as widespread or long lasting as what we're seeing in parts of the Northeast, but you do have some showers and some storms there for the second half of the day. How about Atlanta? Because we mentioned those flight delays up in the Northeast, the world's busiest airport, perhaps getting into some delays in the second part of the day with some of these storms moving through. Depends on the exact placement of the storms and the strength of them. You might even see some flight patterns that moved around just because of the storms and the strong line of storms coming through in the afternoon. Where we're seeing the cold front right now and where it's already passed through areas like Nashville, clearing out pretty dramatically this morning, where you're going to be anywhere from about 15 to 20 degrees below average in the wake of this cold front. But you can see the rain moving through Huntsville first part of the day. Looks pretty soggy. Chattanooga knocking on your door right around the lunchtime hour. Any hiking plans in North Georgia or perhaps parts of Middle Tennessee? Watch out for some of these storms. Reynolds?
All right. Well, a rainy start to a rainy week.
Pretty big and sweeping change from not one, but two cold fronts that moved through this past week. First one, swept out some of that more humid air. The second one, the stronger one, just reinforced the fact that a lot of us are feeling like fall, and it's been this way for a couple of weeks. 180 million of us below average highs for tomorrow. That's as that cold front sweeps through areas like the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and eventually through the Southeast too. But there's our freeze warning for Williston. You can see it up there in that hot pink color. But we even have quite a few frost advisories from areas like Pierre down through Valentine, where North Platte actually only at 37 this morning. We've had a few frost advisories already for parts of the northern tier, say northern Minnesota, but this is just continuing that trend as we swiftly move towards fall. It is happening in a flash in a lot of these areas where, look at Nashville. So 16 degrees below average for our highs. And pretty much everywhere that you look on the map, you've got those, blue triangles pointing down, saying not only are we a little bit below average, but for some places 10, 15, close to 20 degrees below average. That is a powerful cold front this time of year. And it could be cool enough that we see record high temperatures, but record cool high temperatures. I know when you say it like that, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but basically it's just a lot cooler than what we're used to this time of year. Where Alpena, we could see a forecast of 55, which beats the record set back in 1986, 57 there. And it's not just the afternoon, it's also the morning hours where Reynolds, look at Mitchell, South Dakota, long-standing record, 1898 is in jeopardy.
Oh, that is just crazy. And so is this, near Buckhorn, New Mexico.
The Department of Justice is suing California's largest utility company, alleging negligence caused the deadly Eaton fire earlier this year. This comes as weather is being blamed for destructive fires that have been burning through historic parts of the state this week. Jared Hill with our partners at CBS has the story. That was Jared Hill reporting. And after the catastrophic campfire in 2018 that virtually wiped out the town of Paradise, California's largest utility provider, Pacific Gas and Electric, pleaded guilty to 84 counts of manslaughter after its equipment sparked that wildfire. The big question when it comes to wildfire season is, are we going to get any help from Mother Nature, any kind of moisture? The answer is yes, some, but not the entire West Coast, as you would expect this time of year. There's 200 active wildfires right now that are greater than 100 acres. You can see a lot of those focused in Northern California, even parts of the Pacific Northwest, and then up through areas in Idaho, even the Rockies, seeing some wildfires. It's been a pretty serious drought. Now, of course, when you've got all of this wildfire smoke and smoke emission, that's going to affect air quality, especially in some of our bigger cities where you already have air quality issues in play. Up to about an inch of rain. We'll take what we can get at this point, right? We wish it would be a little bit more, but areas in the Rockies, especially the southern Rockies down towards Telluride, perhaps in that zone where we could see some more rain. But here is the drought situation, and it's not good for the Rockies. You've got extreme drought that's been building in. Even northern parts of Idaho, you have exceptional drought, which is the worst category of drought. Where we are seeing the rain, parts of southern Nevada, Las Vegas, just outside of Las Vegas, we had a flash flood warning this morning. We're continuing with a flash flood warning. This is for Mojave County, considerable in the Kingman area. And just know when you see, some of these rainfall amounts, 1 to 2, 2 to 3 inches of rain, you might not think, oh, that's really not a lot of rain. But when the rain falls in the desert, it's just different. And flash flooding can happen very quickly. We're anticipating some more monsoonal moisture today, focused mainly in New Mexico and then over into eastern Arizona. Reynolds?
All right, Molly. Hey, time now for weather.
Showers and thunderstorms. It's welcome in the regard that we actually haven't seen all that impressive of a rainy season so far in South Florida. So much so we've got some intense drought building in, but there will be some pockets of heavier rain, 3 to 5+ inches of rain, which is very typical of Florida. Not everyone sees the same amount, and you can see, one downpour that can put down 3 to 4 inches of rain very quickly. We also have a bullseye of some heavier rain just south of Alligator Alley there, 5 to 8 inches of rain when you get to south of Naples, where we just saw that big rain shower, and you can still see it there in the left-hand corner of your screen. But this is where the extreme drought is, between West Palm and Miami, and that's where we've had a serious lack of rainfall through the rainy season, and now we're trying to slowly chip away at some of that drought with the pattern that we're in right now. You can see the result of some of those showers there, Fort Myers down through Naples. We'll see more of that over the next couple of hours. But as we head into the second half of the day, you're going to see more of that activity, not just West Palm to Miami, but now bringing in areas like Orlando and Tampa and Daytona Beach. That starts to fizzle through the overnight hours, but then is quickly replaced by more showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow afternoon and many of the exact same places. Reynolds?
All right, Molly, we'll stick around.
Dangerous swimming conditions all in play here, where the water temperatures, if you're used to the water temperature in the Great Lakes, for some people it might be too cold. But if you're used to it, still warm enough, right, that you can go swimming. But you just have to be really careful and know your strength as a swimmer, because some of these winds are going to be creating dangerous currents there. High risk of currents from areas Grand Rapids and points to the north, Marquette, even areas like Cleveland over towards Erie. You have a moderate risk, and even that might be too much if you're not a strong swimmer. We also have rip currents present for areas of Jacksonville down through Daytona Beach, just north of Miami, popular 30A beaches too. Again, it's just all about being careful, talking to a lifeguard if they're still out on the beach. I know a lot of them go back to school, right, when schools go back, and you've got high school lifeguards and college lifeguards. But knowing what the flags mean, if you see a red flag or a double red flag, it's just too dangerous to get into the water. Now, there's another thing that's going to be in play this weekend and going into the upcoming week, and that is the king tides. We're also going to have a total lunar eclipse, not here in the United States. You won't be able to see it, but that's not the cause of the king tides, but it makes the king tide levels even higher. So you've got the alignment of the earth and the moon and the sun. Happens a couple of times a year that we get these king tides, about 6 to 8 times a year, and it takes those tide levels and it pushes them up above average. The fact that we've got the total lunar eclipse in play too, it's just going to keep pushing up those water levels. So say some areas in the Outer Banks, you're going to have around high tide this evening, you might find that some of those coastal roadways, low-lying areas are covered by water. Reynolds?
All right, Molly. Well, fireworks were not the only thing